Everybody. Okay, so let's get started. We are June 11th, 2026. We are at 2 o'clock in the morning, 2:06 to be precise, on 2,139 days since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room there on Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. And I just want to welcome everyone because they weren't nice to Richard. They took him to the basement room so they could take his life and then desecrate his body. Evidence indicates there was organ harvesting, and then they stole his body um, off of Fort Bliss and trafficked it to Juarez across international borders. It's important for everyone to realize that there's been a funeral fraud, flesh peddling funeral fraud going on in El Paso that's connected to Fort Bliss. They're cashing in on flesh peddling. That's what they're doing. It sounds crazy, but that's what they were doing. And especially during the COVID time, and just a lot of insurance fraud. And of course, if they're doing insurance fraud and unidentified migrant deaths fraud for humanitarian aid through USAID, and of course, since President Trump got back into office, he's been turning off those spigots, right? And but there was VA fraud, absolutely a lot of VA fraud. So that is the benefits for veterans, and when they die also. This was all going on. It is not outrageous to because the evidence confirms it, that they stole Richard's body off of Fort Bliss and trafficked it across the border to Juarez, Ciudad Juárez, Mexico, which is in the state of Chihuahua, Mexico. So, yeah, everything that we are saying to you, it sounds so terroristic and so horrific, and something you would see in a movie or something. But we want to tell you that we have been investigating for just about 6 years, and every day, and we have so much evidence to corroborate what we're telling you, that there was cartel infiltration in our military, and it got there by cartel infiltration into the El Paso agencies, federal and city, county agencies, and state, including the governor's office and the Secretary of State, of course, and infiltration of a cartel network that is connected to, of course, the Jeffrey Epstein pipeline. I know that sounds crazy, but just look at where Jeffrey Epstein's ranch was, the Zorro Ranch, right there on the north call up of White Sands Missile Range. Okay, restricted airspace that he really loved to use with the auto pings, right? Because that led right into his little aircraft hangar, his landing strip. You have to look at it. You can look; it's still there. You can even just search, find Richard Halliday, our Facebook page, and I put out all kinds of pictures and maps. So, the evidence is out there. We've put out all the connections um, with that pipeline, with Richard's case. Um, we've put all that out there too. And so, it sounds a little wow, but it's the truth. And they did do that to Richard. It was an act of war because this is a cartel chain of command, right? A cartel chain of command. And the newest evidence that has come out about Matthew Engelbaum and his wife, Frances Maldonado, um, is just absolutely jaw-dropping treason. Okay. Matthew Engelbaum, he is a U.S. Um, AUSA, an assistant U.S. attorney in the Western District of Texas, right there in El Paso. He is former was in the DA's office, and then also the city attorney's office. So he was there. He was there for um, the Walmart. He was there for Richard. He was there for he was working with Michael Mayella. Okay. And he is really responsible for the Walmart mass shooting investigation. Um, I would say the orchestration and the staging of the Walmart mass shooting that led to the weaponization of that case. And that's why they did it, right? This was election tampering. They weaponized it to attack President Trump. That's why Beto O'Rourke was part of this because he was running for president against President Trump. And they used this to attack President Trump. The, the stupid narrative that they used, um, it always has to be like a racist, they always want to make it about race. Divide and conquer technique that, has always been there. I guess, did Napoleon invent that? I don't know. Um, but yeah, they used the Walmart mass shooting to cover up what Richard was reporting because audits had begun and there was a lot going on behind the scenes during that time, and they wanted to divert the investigations, the law enforcement community away from there, and then of course they orchestrated and staged the very bloody Walmart mass shooting, and our evidence confirms it. If anybody comes at us and say, prove it, we can. We can absolutely prove it. We've done a lot because it intersects with our son's case. So this has been going on for years that we have been, collecting audio and pictures and witness testimony and everything about the Walmart mass shooting case. We know it very well. And so it was absolutely orchestrated, and it wasn't me saying it, okay? Juan Torres, the lead uh, Texas Ranger said it was staged. Okay, so it wasn't me that said it. It's the witness testimonies, and then of course the evidence corroborate what the witness have said. So that's the truth, and it was orchestrated, and it was staged, and it was bloody, and of course Matthew Engelbaum was there for that, and he's responsible for that. He's responsible for all the fraud in the Walmart mass shooting victims funds, which was over $12 billion. That was just fraudulent. Of course, what happened to Richard? He knew Richard was killed. He knew the whole thing, and he's responsible for this the whole cartel infiltration, the whole system. When you are in that position, you're supposed to be courageous and fight against this kind of criminal activity, which is terroristic activity. This is a terroristic organization, the El Paso cartel, that's in alliance with the El Chapo Sinaloa cartel, and of course the Juarez cartel and the CJNG cartel and La Linea cartel. Those are the ones that we have put together, and there's probably a lot more because they have been forming alliances. I don't think they're happy alliances, but they are alliances that do a lot of terror and horror. Um, and he was there for all of that. So this is treason, okay? He's Matthew Engelbaum is not just a normal person. When you are in the DA's office, and when you are an AUSA, like uh, he had no respect for the law, because we have a witness that absolutely can confirm that he was uh, messing with the signs of his wife's campaign. That is so illegal, y'all. That's so illegal. So if he's going to do that, um he has no respect for his oath, for our country, for the Constitution, for the Texas Constitution. He just wants the prestige of the office to do his cartel bidding. That's all. To make him, hide behind the DA's office, the assistant DA's, trial lawyer prestige, or the prestige of the U.S. Attorney's Office of the Western District. Um, he just wants that prestige, for a cover, for a cartel front, for a narco cartel front. He is absolutely a cartel front. That's it. And it makes him even worse than like El Mayo. He's far worse than El Mayo, and El Mayo's very bad, very bad. But that just tells you how bad what Matthew Engelbaum is, how bad he is. And I don't care if he, cuts his hair straight. I don't care. Um, if he doesn't, he is so bad. It's so treasonous. Almayo, at least said who he was, right? Um, but Matthew Engelbaum is deceptive and hides behind the Department of Justice, the prestige of it, and lends the prestige of it, um, misuses it. It's so treasonous. Uh, you, it's hard to wrap your head around, but it is absolutely worthy of the death penalty. Uh, and I was really upset last night, and really said it last night. And I was right. And I was absolutely right. They should all face the death penalty, because this is um, if you surpass El Mayo and badness, right? And not being a badass, but badness, just up to no good, then it does rise to the penalty of the death penalty, capital punishment. Absolutely. And so when you add on to that he was family even to Nadal Baim, the Palestinian arms dealer that has a record for terroristic threats, that is the father-in-law of Richard's cartel chain of command, that he's cartel. He had that he just recently tried to flee to Kuwait, which is the Strait of Hormuz, with $44,000 of stolen money. Uh, and he's directly tied to the El Paso cartel. Okay. He's directly, his daughter was at UTEP. His other daughter is right there in the family of Matthew Engelbaum. Um, and, add that to that Matthew was working with Michael Mayella, the brother-in-law of Patrick Crucius, one of the shooters in the Walmart mass shooting case. Um, the level of criminality, of terroristic organizational crimes is worthy of the death penalty. Oh, yeah. The cover up. I can't, he was getting paid, and still is, taxpayer money to cover for the cartel terroristic organization. That that is a whole bunch of El Mayo crimes. That's how bad what we just exposed. And now it's not getting, well, we'll see how much attention it gets. We'll see how much attention it gets. What's getting a lot of attention is what I want to talk about, because it's really, there's a reason why it's getting a lot of attention. And it really connects to the El Paso cartel, because nothing happens on that border without the El Paso cartel operative and double agent Alejandra de la Vega Foster knowing about it. She sat on the committees of the intelligence and the law enforcement community on border security. Of course, she served simultaneously both on the Chihuahua governor's administration and also on the Texas governor administration. She's a double agent, and she's an El Paso cartel operative, and she's up to no good. She facilitated the treasonous Abbott-Campos treaty that gave the cartels access to databases so that they wouldn't have to do an open records request. They wouldn't have to worry about redactions. They got absolute access to federal databases. They knew who the whistleblowers were. They knew who the investigators were on the cases. They knew the timing of the cases in the courts. They knew everything, and that was not the worst of it. The worst of it is that they received access to the State Department visas, that they received visas so they can have bank accounts for money laundering, so that they could get their driver's license and buy vehicles there and start businesses there, and they wouldn't have to abide by licenses or permits that other normal people would have to abide by. And they wouldn't have to report their taxes, right? They wouldn't have to report their taxes. So we know that it was so bold, they were doing it so much, so readily, that even the prosecutor in Chihuahua bought a house in El Paso, got his visa. The prosecutor, which is against the law in Mexico, um, got a house, got a car, got a license, um, because they can access the banks for money laundering and access, there's a lot of ways that they were money laundering in the United States. And who was the king of the money laundering? Well, um, that was Epstein, right? Epstein was doing that. He was the king of the money laundering. That's why everyone loved him, because they could take their illicit gains and he would clean it up for them um, through his laundering schemes. So that's why you see so many very wealthy people, even the Duchess of in England, right? I think, yeah, she had the title Duchess. When her money wasn't enough, went to him. Um, it is just whatever all the things that came out. It just shows you that there's a connection. The evidence confirms that there was a connection between Jeffrey Epstein and Fort Bliss and El Paso cartel and Chihuahua, Mexico. Okay. You have Cesar Duarte, the former um, governor of Chihuahua, also having multiple ranches, right there where Jeffrey Epstein's ranch is, right? Always on the call outs of White Sands Missile Range, along that for um, um, using the restricted airspace, right? And you have certain people like the Chan brothers that are so connected to this in the military. So it shows the military infiltration, of course, James Hart, uh, and of course Tavita Nusa, Solomona Nusa, and you just have all of the whole chain of command, and of course Nadal Baim's son-in-law, uh, who is good friends with uh, the nephew of uh, Deborah Knopf, okay, who's also in the AUSA Western District of Texas, um, who is really the leaker when it comes to. These are all leakers, right? They're in there. They're in there just for counterintelligence, to be a counterintelligence for the cartels, for the terroristic organizations. And Deborah Knopf, we know, have evidence that she leaked um, what Julio Cordero knew. And Julio Cordero was then, shortly after that, shot in the head and killed. Um, So and the killer, Anthony Aoun, his handle was Sniper Wolf. Sniper Wolf. Yeah. Can't make this stuff up. Um, and so not only was Deborah Knopf and the AUSA, along with Matthew Engelbaum, they knew these cases, and they covered for them because Julio Cordero's case, where's the video, right? Um, it should be heavy prosecution in this case. There was so much tampering with everything. And of course, with Richard's case, so much tampering with Richard's case, and with the Walmart case, so much tampering. And then, of course, then we have Almayo's case where they kidnapped him and put him on an American private plane and brought him to El Paso FBI office illegally without extradition orders. And both Deborah Knopf, and I should even add another person in there, Steven Spitzer, and Matthew Engelbaum, they just kept silent, right? And, whether you like El Mayo or not, whether you say, oh, well, he was cartel, he was a big fish, it's good that they did that. But no, but then you have the problem of the whole case being botched. You have to do this according to the law, and they know that because then the whole case can be botched. And, so forcibly or kidnapping, drugging, all of that, El Mayo, and then with no extradition paperwork and orders to arrest him, it's so illegal. And nobody protected the Constitution, nobody protected the law, and that's what they're there for, to stand up, to wield the law of the land, and to stand up for it, to guard it. And they're committing, what in reality, what's happening with this group is that they're using it to protect the cartel, to weaponize it to protect the cartel. So, what he did was so bad. And, we're only touching on the tip of the iceberg on this. So we'll be talking about that more. So, sorry, it is 2:00 in the morning. So that's really what I wanted to, let's see. I'm going to display this. So here is Matthew Engelbaum, and this is his brother-in-law, and this is his wife who's running to be a judge. And she says right here, look at this. This is weird. I think this is weird. She said the election is over. The election is not over. Why is she saying the election is over? The election is not over. She still has the election in November. I don't understand. Does she know something we don't know? Are they cheating on the election there? I don't know. Has she been guaranteed something before the election even is the election that she can say the election is over? Did she leak there? I don't know. But I know that her husband, Matthew Engelbaum, which I don't know if you can use any kind of good descriptive noun on them. They really just need to be called monsters and criminals and terroristic organization operatives. I think that would be appropriate. Because they're the worst of the worst, y'all. They're the worst of the worst. Their crimes absolutely reach the level for capital punishment. And I hope everyone understands that. It's that bad. And so he's with the sign here. We know that he was messing with the sign. He cannot do that. as a U.S. We understand that in the military, when you're in uniform, you cannot be political at all. You have to really protect to make sure that you're not political. But for a U.S. attorney in the Department of Justice for the Western District of Texas, the laws get very strict. Very, very strict. That's why you see our Supreme Court justices so stoic when they go to like any kind of political speech, right? The State of the Union, for example. They're very stoic. They don't try to make a face at all because it's so criminal if they become political. They're supposed to be neutral. And so for him to be campaigning for his wife is another additional crime. Not to mention this crime. Here's Nadal Bayim. He's lost some weight since I first saw him. I talked to him. And he's a real criminal. He is a real criminal. He looks like a real criminal, doesn't he? He's a terroristic organization operative. He's cartel, and he is absolutely connected to the Strait of Hormuz, and he's up to no good. Absolutely up to no good. And yeah, this is just mind blowing. It's just mind blowing. I can't get over it. How criminal this institution is. It's so criminal. They just really hate our country. To go and to collect taxpayer money and to protect the very people that want to kill the taxpayers. They want to kill them. They want to exploit them. 500,000 children were trafficked. They were there for that. He was there for that. He's a really bad guy, y'all. I don't care if he wears a tie or not. He's a really bad guy. And so is she. So is she, and so is he, and so are they. They're all, oh my gosh. So the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was the report on the M4 carbine that the CIA was carrying around in the Fiscalia office of Carlos Manuel Salas in the administration of Maru Campos, the El Chapo fentanyl governor of Chihuahua, Mexico. So we know, because they've identified the kind of weapon. This is not me. This is reports. They've identified the kind of weapon that these CIA agents were carrying, and they were M4s, y'all. M4s are very illegal in Mexico. Okay? They are, I shouldn't even say very, they're just illegal in Mexico. And even in the United States, because they're fully automatic. These are fully automatic rifles, and they are military grade. Okay, this is reserved for the military. We have been reporting on the ambush that happened during a rogue operation with several people, and those several people include 4 CIA agents. Okay, 4, not 2, 4. They were in several cars when the ambush occurred. One car, one vehicle, I shouldn't say car, it's a vehicle that is bulletproof, reinforced, has a fire extinguisher inside of it, um, has safety measures so that a fire wouldn't start easily. So when that ambush occurred and the car rolled down into the ravine in a fiery furnace, they tried to remove the bodies, to get rid of the bodies. It didn't work. Sorry, y'all. It's just so late. But I have to tell you this. I have to tell you this right away, as soon as I can, even if it's 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Um, the ambush created a huge problem because they had dead Americans that were CIA agents that used M4 carbine, fully automatic rifles. Were they from Fort Bliss, these rifles? Like in a Fast and Furious, this was asked. This needs to be answered. If these were smuggled weapons from Fort Bliss or a different military installation, or who gave them these weapons to use in Mexico, knowing that it's illegal. But these people don't operate on our laws because they want to create their own little mini country right there at the border. So they had a real problem, though, because they haven't achieved their own little country yet on the border. They're still, in stealth war mode. They have absolutely declared war on both the United States and Mexico. The El Paso cartel has. And their type of war is like a Trojan horse, right? They infiltrate and take over that way. So, it's not quite complete yet, even though they've done a lot of damage. And so they had a real problem because they were going to have to answer to those law enforcement agencies and officers that are true to Mexican sovereignty, and also true to those on the American side that are true to American sovereignty and respect for the rule of law. And so what they did is they took the female member of their cartel gang and swapped out her 223 rifle with the M4 carbine. The problem is that 223 rifle, something was wrong with it. It must have had markings or something like that that would give them away. So they ordered that rifle be destroyed, and they switched it for another one. So this was, really one federal law after the other, committed, violated, and I tried to explain the story as well as I could and put it in a meme for you to share. And so thank you so much, because this is really important, because it shows that they're willing to tamper with records and cases and destroy evidence and all of that. And that's important because they did all of that in Richard's case. So this is really important for our Epic case. Um, it gives corroborating evidence. So this is why, and please share, because that is what moves justice, is the people. So here is what is hot and that is La Polanka. If you don't know La Polanka, it is um, a Mexican news source in Spanish. And I go there very frequently because whoever runs that site is amazing. Absolutely amazing group of people. Because they're reporting on things that you just don't hear other places. Uh, there's several that are doing excellent job that we go to, and this is an amazing story. Breaking news: 600 officers smash 21 smuggler stash houses. Now, what they're not reporting, um, now we know that they did that, and these smugglers are called like chicken smugglers or whatever. They reduce the human life. These people don't value human life, right? The human body. They're sacrilegious. They absolutely do not celebrate Corpus Christi. And so, these they call just devalue the human body to chickens. Okay, and so this is why you see so much reference to chicken. Okay, but I want to tell you that our sources have confirmed that they are using, and other cases that are out there, that they are using chicken restaurants as a front for their cartel activities, including the migrant human. Let's call it what it is. It's human trafficking. Let's call it what it is. It's human trafficking. So, yeah, so they're using chicken restaurants as a front to their cartel activity. That's really important to know. Both sides of the border, not only in Ciudad Juarez, but also in El Paso. Just to let you know, so you can check and protect yourself and your children. So this is the post that is really going viral because you have over 600 officers that are taking down 21 stash houses, smuggler stash houses over on the other side of the border. So a lot is happening, and it's happening in the United States too. Do not be deceived. Look at, if you want to know how bad the media is, all you have to do is look up the reflecting pool, right? The reflecting pool in DC. The reflecting pool in DC is getting such bad press, and it's like, what, these people just want 10 to 16 um garbage truckloads of stinky slimy garbage to stay there, to stay in the reflecting pool in our nation's capital. They just love the garbage. Is that what they're wanting? And the slime and all of that, they don't want it cleaned up and looking beautiful and fresh, and being showing a strength, that shows a strength to everyone that comes to our country, that visits our capital. And so, for people to want to display to the rest of the world that we like trash, and this is what the media is really advocating for. They're just up in arms that it's all nice and clean now and reflecting beautifully, and especially for the 250th anniversary of our country and our nation's capital, and being a good example, for other cities, and that they just they it's just so revealing that they are part of the El Paso cartel. Yes, all the way up in D.C. And in Mexico City. And they are looking for the destruction of the countries, not for the success of them. And they really have done a number on us because they have taken so many media, right? The control of the media. And of course, in Richard's case, it shows that they were in our military. And now with Matthew Engelbaum, you see that they're in our federal prosecutor's office and our DA, the 34th Judicial District Attorney's office. And now you don't have to wonder why the magistrate court has judges that are all fake because they need to be voted for, right? They are subject to the vote of the people. And that hasn't happened since 2015 when the changes were made. Full jurisdiction was made and given. And so since then, those judges need to be elected, not not assigned, right? Not assigned. And then the other thing is these people, when you look at their CV, when you look at their experience and everything like that, um, they are the bottom. They're the bottom of the barrel. They are the bottom of the barrel. They just are just no good and up to no good. And I told you that about Bill Hicks. He was just the bottom of the barrel. Why would Governor Abbott choose Bill Hicks? Well, now you know they wanted the attorney for Purchase Funeral Homes. That's what they wanted because of this funeral home fraud that is involved in organ harvesting, loads of money there, and the baby harvesting and the black market sale of them. That was all reported on by Tulsi Gabbard, DNI, the Director of National Intelligence, where Pulte's going to take her place, but um, and La Diabla, whose family was working for Beto O'Rourke, and of course, this whole funeral fraud is connected to Beto O'Rourke, and the weaponization of the Walmart mass shooting is connected to Beto O'Rourke. And of course, Jeffrey Epstein, his family ranch is uh, right along the north edge of Jeffrey Epstein's ranch, Zorro Ranch. Um, uh, this is Beto O'Rourke, right? Beto O'Rourke. So, is there a pattern here that gives us an indication who's behind all of this, who's part of the El Paso cartel? I think evidence already has confirmed it. So, yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for coming on so late. I mean, 3 o'clock in the morning right now. But it can't be helped, and this is what it takes because you see that we have treasonous, we have traitors, we have terroristic organization operatives, cartel operatives uh, in our courthouses, in our prosecutors' offices, in our military, and they are absolutely up to no good. So, thank you so much for coming on, and please share all the information that we are putting out there.